Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're taking on one of the absolutely most terrifying sights in all of computing. You know the drill. You're working away, completely in the zone, and suddenly, boom. Your screen flips to this glaring blue background, a sad face, and a bunch of cryptic text. The dreaded blue screen of death. It looks like a fatal tragedy, right? It feels like the absolute end of your computer. But I'm here to tell you that it's actually just a digital mystery waiting to be solved. So grab your magnifying glass, because today we're cracking the case of the BSOD. It's the terrifying question that immediately flashes through your mind when that blue screen hits. Is my PC permanently dead? Did I just lose literally everything? Well, take a deep breath. The great news is the answer is almost always a resounding no. While it's definitely an alarming error, in the vast majority of cases, your hardware is perfectly fine and your files are completely safe. You just need to know how to read the clues it leaves behind. Okay, let's dive into this. A blue screen of death is actually a protective measure. I want you to think of it less as a malicious failure and way more as a highly sensitive alarm system. When the Windows operating system detects a critical error that it just can't safely recover from, like, say, a driver trying to write to the wrong memory address, it triggers this emergency stop. It essentially halts everything immediately, right in its tracks, rather than allowing that damage to spread. To solve this mystery together, we've got a 5-step roadmap. We'll be covering the incident, the investigation, the usual suspects, the resolution, and finally, future-proofing.
Starting things off with Section 1, the incident, understanding the impact.
And this brilliantly illustrates what's really going on. Think of it literally like a circuit breaker in your house. That breaker trips to prevent an electrical fire, right? Well, similarly, the BSOD intentionally crashes your system to protect it. If Windows just ignored a faulty driver and allowed it to keep writing corrupted data to your hard drive, it could wipe out your personal files permanently. The blue screen is basically Windows sacrificing its current session to protect your long-term data. It's not the enemy here, it's your bodyguard. Moving right along to Section 2, the investigation, checking the clues. So, where do we start? It turns out your very first investigative tool is hiding right there in the Start menu, the Windows Event Viewer. If the blue screen vanished before you could even read the error code, you'll find it here. Just click your Start menu, type Event Viewer, and pop that app open. Over on the right, click on Create Custom View. Set the time range to any time, check the little box for error, and select Windows Logs. Once you hit OK, you'll get this nicely filtered list of system errors. Just click on the most recent critical error, and under the General and Details tabs, you'll find the event ID and a quick summary of what actually caused the crash. Now, if you want to go full forensic detective, and who wouldn't, you need to read the mini-dump file. See, when Windows crashes, it takes a tiny 256 kilobyte snapshot of the exact moment of failure, saved as a .dmp file. To actually read it, you can download Microsoft's free WinDBG tool straight from the Microsoft Store. Once it's open, you'll need to set up the default symbol path in the debugging settings. This basically allows the tool to translate all that raw code into readable driver names. Then just open up your mini-dump file and type the command !analyze-v. The tool will process all that data and explicitly tell you the exact module name that caused the crash.
Which brings us to Section 3, the usual suspects, common causes and codes. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the breakdown. People constantly panic, assuming their super expensive processor or motherboard just died. But look at this. Roughly 75% of all blue screens of death are simply software driver issues. A bad graphics update, maybe an old Wi-Fi adapter driver, or even an incompatible antivirus kernel driver. Only a very small fraction of these crashes are actually tied to failing hardware or corrupt system files. And here is your ultimate detective's cheat sheet. When you grab your stop code from the event viewer or straight off the blue screen, just match it to this table. If you see IRQL not less or equal, a driver is trying to access memory it shouldn't. That's usually your GPU or network card. If you see kernel data in-page error, take immediate notice. This one often points to a failing hard drive or SSD, so please back up your data right away. Page fault in non-page area usually means defective RAM or a bad driver, and critical process died points to corrupted Windows system files, or sometimes even malware injecting itself into core processes. All right, let's get things working again. Section 4, the resolution, triage and fixes. Depending on the clues you just found, you're basically going to take one of two paths here. For software fixes, your go-to tools are rolling back recently updated GPU drivers through the device manager, running command prompt scans like SFC or DISM to repair your system files, or just uninstalling a buggy Windows update.
Now, for hardware fixes, you'll be running the built-in Windows memory diagnostics to actually test your RAM sticks, using the check disk or chkdsk command to scan your hard drive for failing sectors, or literally just opening your computer case to clean out the dust and fix severe overheating. Let's move to and see how this builds into an ultimate step-by-step triage plan. First up, always boot into safe mode. This loads Windows with only the bare essential drivers. If your PC doesn't crash in safe mode, you know for a fact it's a third-party software issue. Second, roll back those GPU or network drivers. Third, open up Command Prompt as an administrator and run sfc/scan now to fix any corrupted files. If that somehow fails, run the dism restore health command to repair the Windows component store itself. And finally, if the crash is started right after a Patch Tuesday, go ahead and uninstall your most recent Windows updates and pause them for a bit. And finally, let's stop this from happening again. Section 5, Future-proofing. Preventing future crashes. So the crucial point here is maintaining good digital hygiene. First, update your drivers carefully. Go directly to official sites like NVIDIA, AMD, or Intel, rather than relying on those weird automatic third-party updaters. Second, give major Windows updates a week or two to let other people discover the bugs first. Third, always keep at least 15% of your hard drive space completely free so Windows actually has room to manage its page file. Fourth, treat your PC like the physical machine it is. Blow the dust out of those vents every 6 months to prevent thermal crashes. And finally, plug your whole system into a UPS, an uninterruptible power supply, to prevent system file corruption during sudden power outages. And that brings us to the end of our case. You are now a fully equipped digital detective ready to handle Windows' scariest screen with logic and strategy rather than pure panic. But, it does make you wonder, as our operating systems become increasingly complex and heavily AI-driven, will the blue screen of death eventually go completely extinct, or will the mysteries just become that much harder to solve? Something to think about. Keep exploring, and we'll catch you in the next explainer.